My guest on today's show overcame a heart attack to build a successful online business. And in our interview today, she reveals exactly why copywriting was one of the keys that helped her on that journey. It's going to be an interesting one, so stay tuned. Hey, what's up? And welcome to another episode of the Impact Unlimited podcast. This is the show where I sit down and interview industry-leading experts with an aim to equip you with both the skill sets and the mindsets to become an impactful entrepreneur. So if you want to become a better leader, build bigger businesses, get more done in less time, and create an impact in the world, then look no further and let's get started. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show today, guys. I am here with Jackie all the way from the US of A. And welcome to the show today, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
No, it's great to have you on. And I'm looking forward to diving into all things digital marketing today. I'd love to hear a bit about your origins, how you got into business in a moment. Before we do, one of the things I love to ask people is a little bit of an icebreaker question. I've got a few different questions, so I'm going to ask you a couple of them just to help us to get to know you a little bit more. Firstly, do you have a favorite quote?
A favorite quote? Oh, I have so many favorite quotes. This quote actually was what kind of spurred me to take the step to start my own business. So I saw it on a sign, and then I bought the sign probably a year later. But it says, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher it. I just know it. Basically, well, I'll give you the gist of it. It says, have the courage to build a life around the things that are the most important to you.
Awesome.
And yeah, that was a big inspiration for the change in my life.
Yeah. I think, it's represents a lot of the journey we've been on as well. You know, when we started our business, it was, to try and provide for the family, but then it comes a point where you're like, hey, why don't we try and combine what we love and what we're passionate about with that sense of creating income? So it's a powerful thing. It's awesome. All right, and the second question is a little less deep and meaningful. If you could time travel forwards or backwards to any stage of future or history, where would you go and why?
Oh my gosh, this is... I didn't know I was going to be tested. Okay, time travel. Definitely. Okay, I've got it. I don't know what year it would be or anything, but I have a feeling that deep in my bones, I used to be like a cowboy. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I'm very drawn to like the Wild West.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely where I would have to go. For any particular reason, other than that, I just think I was like meant to be on a ranch or something.
That's good. I like it. It's good. I feel like I know you, extra special now. So it's good. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your origin story then, how you got started in business. What was it other than the sign that kind of gave you the courage to kind of dive into running your own business? Yeah. Talk to us a bit about that early journey.
Yeah. So my story is kind of interesting, maybe. I started out as a fitness professional. So I started, 20 years ago teaching fitness classes, became a personal trainer, eventually a fitness director at a health club, and then also the manager of the health club, right? And so moving from being all about movement and fitness to managing a local business and having to figure out marketing, running staff, managing staff, all of that, financials, all the aspects of a business, it gave me a little bit of insight as to what it takes to run a business, which I actually loved even more than fitness, to be honest. But trying to do all the things as a mom, running a household, working full time, running a business, I was just tapped out. I was stressed, and I ended up, this was 4 years ago, I ended up having a heart attack, just stress related. And yeah, crazy, 34 years old. And I was I was out running when it happened actually, which I just want to be clear, that like I was in good physical condition, right? I wasn't like, I didn't do it to myself, but I kind of did with stress. And so when something like that happens, I think it's natural for us to take a step back and reevaluate, okay, there's no physical reason why this happened. What is the deeper thing that's happening here? You know, how did I get to this place? And I started to realize the things in my life that needed to change. And one of the things that bugged me the most, probably, or I had the most resistance about, was that all the stress, all the time I was putting in was for someone else's business, for someone else's dream, so that they could live the life that they wanted to live, right? And it wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving my family. And that's what kind of created that pivot. And when I saw that sign, that it was to have the courage to build the life that you wanted to live, you know, to have the courage to build a life that was aligned with the way that I wanted to serve my family and be present in my family. And I just didn't have the energy for that at the time. So I walked away from fitness, the fitness industry, and stepped into what I was really passionate about, and that was marketing and copywriting.
Awesome.
And so now we have a digital marketing agency that caters to online entrepreneurs that need help in those areas.
Awesome. Such an inspiring story. It's crazy to see, you know, where you've come from and what you've done. Talk to me about the, you mentioned there the words you used, I think, that you were passionate about marketing. What is it about marketing that you are passionate about? What is it that gets you fired up about marketing? Because it's an interesting topic, that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that from my local business experience, one of the most frustrating things to me was how to attract new customers, new members, right? It was a membership-based club. And so we had to get people in the door. And that was the big stress every single day. How were we going to get more people into the door? And as I started to basically self-study about this thing called marketing, I learned a lot. And the thing that was most intriguing to me was actually how we use language and how our message attracts the right people at the right time. And that got me really excited because writing has always been something that interested me. I was an English major way, way back. I thought I wanted to teach creative writing, right? And so writing was always interesting to me. But particularly the way that we encourage people to take an action or inspire people to take an action with our words. I think it's so overlooked. The thing that I wanted to change about marketing in my business was there's this idea that there's a magic lever out there that you just flip. If you go into Facebook ads and there, you know, if there's just a magic button to press or a switch to flip, you know, or there's some way to optimize and there's this shiny thing and this shiny thing, you know, we get distracted by all of these magic tools that we think are going to be magical. But if you don't have good, strong messaging, if you're not sure of who you're trying to attract and how to convince them to take even the next baby step, none of those shiny objects really matter, right? And also there's not a magic switch, right? Just so everyone knows. Stop looking for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, really, really inspiring. And I think it's good. And the reason I ask is I think as well is because, you know, there was probably a period of my entrepreneurial life where I thought marketing was a pain, something I had to do that I didn't really want to do because I thought, you know, if it's good enough, people will find out about it. But it's just not the way the world works now, right? There's, you know, if you want to get the message out there, if you want to impact people's lives, you know, you need to get over the fact that, you know, you are going to need to do some marketing, whatever that looks like, you know, and we can discuss that. You know, you need to get over that because unfortunately in the past, it's not always the best products that win, but it's just those that have the best marketing. And so it's time for those people with the good products to come out there and, you know, shine with their marketing. So how can they do that? Talk to us a little bit about how online entrepreneurs, how business owners, what are some, you know, keys in this, you know, phase of the world we're in 2020 that they can use to really gain some ground with their business?
Yeah, well, first, I think that just getting visible is very important. You know, depending on your business, of course, if you're a brick and mortar style business or online, it's much easier if you're an online business to get visible. You're used to being online, right? But also you might be used to being behind a computer and not stepping out and getting visible. So the first thing is to get either, if you are your brand, get your face out there or to get your name out there and just start putting things out into the world. It is the easiest and cheapest way to test your messaging. Okay. And I encourage my clients to do this all the time. Go live on Facebook, post about things, do Instagram stories, see what you say, how people respond to what you say.
Great.
And when you start getting responses, that'll tell you the direction that you should be going with your messaging, right? And it doesn't really cost you anything, just a little bit of time. So the first thing I think is to get visible. The second thing I think that is also overlooked is to find what makes you and your business unique.
Great.
And I actually discovered this this kind of in-depth idea from Sally Hogshead. She wrote the book Fascinate, I think, and a book called How the World Sees You. Are you familiar with those books?
I've not heard of them, no, but I'll check them out.
You got to check them out. Okay, she talks about how brands stand out amongst each other. She actually uses Jägermeister as an example, which is such a great example about why are people so attracted to Jaeger when it tastes so disgusting, right? Yeah. But there's this fascination around it. Yeah. And she basically says that you can't outprice, you can't outthink, you can't outwork your competition all the time. There's always going to come someone that is better, stronger, cheaper. You know, the only way that you can stand out against your competition is to be different. And that just really clicked with me. And so that's something that we try to pull out of our clients is what's the thing? A lot of times it's the personality. It's the way that we show up, right? But what is the thing for your business that makes you different than a company that's similar? And if you can put that in your messaging, on your website, in your ads, whatever it is that you're doing, in your emails, and someone gets a feeling from that, that definitely will set you apart. So getting visible and really playing upon what makes you different, I think are
so true.
Big keys.
Yeah, so important. Yeah, we have a program where we teach people how to build up physical product brands, and one of the main things for launching a physical product is you need to have that differentiation. We always say, the worst thing to differentiate on is price, because it's always a race to the bottom. It's no good. It's not good for anyone. Yeah. So that's absolutely 100% agree. One of the one of your strengths is copywriting, right? That's one of the things that we've talked about, and you've had some great experience in and seen some success in, and it's such an undervalued skill, I think, in today's entrepreneur. People are wanting to create engaging videos and have great social media images, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people focus on the imaging, but actually it's the messaging that really does sell a product, right, and build a brand. So talk to us, if we can, just for the time we have, just about copywriting. I'd love to dive into that a little bit. How online entrepreneurs can really A, use copywriting to grow their business, but B, get better at it. Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, where do I start? Well, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about how to pinpoint what makes you different, right? And that really needs to come through in your copywriting. But how about if I go with the biggest mistakes that I see that people make with their copywriting? Perfect. So we do a lot of feedback and reviews on copy. So even clients that don't want us to write the copy for them will send us things and say, can you make some tweaks or that sort of thing? And I think the biggest things that we see are people not really nailing what kind of value, or we call it a value proposition, what it is that someone will get out of what it is that you're offering them. Okay. And I consider your offer to be whether it's something that's free, whether it's something that's paid, whatever it is that you're asking them to take an action on, right? You're offering this to them. If they don't understand what it is that they'll get out of that straight away, then they've already clicked away and they're already on to the next thing, right? Another thing is a lot of businesses will make it about them, what they write, whether it's their sales page, whether it's their ad, their post, whatever. And the funny thing is, I've realized it's so obvious to us, right? When we look at it, it's like you look at this and you're like, great, I'm learning about you and your company. But they don't realize, like the business doesn't realize, they think that by sharing about them, they're doing a service to their customer. And so we really have to step back and look at that and say, okay, the only thing that your customer or your prospect is thinking about when they're reading this is, so what? What's in it for me? Or how does this apply to me? Right?
Right.
Basically, if you could always read something from the lens of how is this about me, or what's in it for me? And if you can answer that question, then you'll get way, way better response to what you're writing.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like the amount of times you see that. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. Businesses talking about themselves, and I could not agree with that more. Hey, quick little break in the show just to let you know about a wealth of free resources we've got for you. If you want to develop the skill sets and the mindsets of a successful entrepreneur, we're here to help you do exactly that. You can find a range of free courses on topics such as how to start a business, brand building, marketing, building online courses, and much more. Just head to impactunlimited.com/training. That's impactunltd.com/training in order to access this resource. We're regularly adding new training, so keep your eyes on our website and on your inbox. We'd love to help you on the journey. All right, back to the show. There's obviously sort of formulas for copywriting, like the AIDA, all that kind of stuff. Do you subscribe to any of that, or do you try and sort of do a more of a natural approach? What's your kind of philosophy? If someone's wanting to get started with writing better copy, is there a sort of a formula they can adopt, or what do you suggest on that?
Yeah, I sometimes start with formulas like that. A very simple one, would be problem, agitation, solution, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's more obvious, I think, if you're just getting started with copywriting, you present the problem, what it is that they're facing, you kind of grind it in a little bit of agitation, just to the point where they really kind of feel that something that they were worried about is really kind of nagging or annoying now, and then you present a solution. I think that's a very logical way for someone just starting copywriting to move someone, to take an action, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the natural occurrence that happens to us when we are looking for a solution. We have a problem, it becomes to the point where we just can't take it anymore, and we seek a solution. So that would be the easiest. Taking that very simple 3-step formula and just adding some flavor to it and making that transition, putting in maybe, let's just say we're talking about a landing page or a sales page or something like that. This is an opportunity to take it to the next level with maybe a quote that someone has about results that they got from the product. Right. Or a screenshot of social proof, just kind of putting a little bit extra flavor on it never hurts. But problem, agitation, solution is where I would definitely start. Simple.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's good. And I like how you say, to start, it gets you started, because I think for me, what I've found is like, that's the hardest thing, is starting. I'll sit down, I've got to write some stuff out, whether it's a new training or a sales page, like you say, or a product, an ad for a product, whatever it is. And I just sometimes sit there, and it's the hardest thing is getting started. So having like some kind of framework to start with is, super, super helpful. Do you have any, do you ever get that yourself, like that kind of writer's block? You ever find that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every day. Every day. And I actually have some clients who are copywriters as well. And I was asking them about this. And I think it's just the more that you do it, right? The more practice you get, the more it comes to you more easily, right? I don't do copywriting in my business every single day. Just a couple times a week is when I focus on copy. And I should probably do it more, because I think that it would just, happen more naturally. But I think getting started is definitely the hardest part. And it's funny because I was thinking about this morning. I have a project that I've been delaying, and sometimes I write my best work when I'm under the gun, when I'm like right up against a deadline. And I hate that. Yeah. I hate that.
Same. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, goodness.
Good. It's good. Yeah. In terms of that journey of copywriting, that's obviously, so many sort of avenues we could go down and so many sort of different things we could talk about. But when it comes to like a different kind of product, would you say there are industries that need to focus on this more than others? Or would you say whatever it is you're selling, like would there be some principles that go right across the whole sort of sales industry?
So you're asking, do these principles apply across all industries?
Yeah, like if someone's selling, something that doesn't maybe need much of, they don't need convincing, or they know they need it, cheap products, that kind of thing. Is this just for expensive products that you need copywriting? What kind of thing?
Well, the truth is people have to learn about what it is that you're selling regardless, right? And I do think that there's some things that don't require as extensive of as many words or as extensive of research or copy. And those are the things that people either know the product already exists, right? And they know possible solutions already. So I'm really bad at coming up with examples off the top of my head, but it would be a product maybe that you've already purchased. Maybe you're just looking for another, another variation of it or something, right? But then there's products that you see. I don't know if your listeners watch a show like Shark Tank or something where people are coming up with brand new ideas.
Yep. Yeah, by the way, on that, I watched both Dragon's Den, which is like the UK version, and Shark Tank. I only just started watching Shark Tank recently. Boy, they are fierce.
They are.
The UK, I now watch the UK and I'm like, come on, fight. And they do nothing. Whereas Shark Tank, they go in. It's crazy. Anyway,
I think they've gotten a little bit better because we were watching early episodes and they were really brutal. And I think they've gotten a little bit easier. But people present ideas that are brand new. A lot of them are things that are just created. And you'll hear the sharks sometimes say, this is a great idea, but it's going to take so much educating to get someone to understand what the solution is, even though it's a great solution. And so in that case, copy is going to be very heavy on, or very important on that type of product, because now you have to go back from, let's imagine that most of the people that we're selling to already are aware of some type of solution. Let's just start there. Well, if you go backwards and you have to now introduce this type of solution, okay, that's a step backwards. And then if you go back even farther, now you have to educate them on you know what I mean? It's like three steps back. And so you've got a whole bunch of different kinds of copy to write versus just trying to get them straight to buy a product. So definitely if it's a new innovative thing, that's going to take a lot more focus on copy than something that's just, everybody knows about.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's good. What about some just some practical stuff? Like I know I've found a bit of a flow in terms of I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? So I struggled sort of until everything's exactly as it should be. But what I found when writing copy is that I would try and get everything right as I'm writing it. It just took forever. So something I've been doing recently that seems to really be helping my flow is I'll just dedicate the first sort of bit. I'll just write it. I'll just flow, bam, 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 and then I'll go back through and edit. For me, that's been really helpful. There are other sort of practical things like that in terms of structuring and things like that you might be able to sort of offer the audience.
Yes. So I too am a recovering perfectionist. And I'll tell you that if you try and make things perfect, you'll just never get it done. Right. So I completely agree. I say get it all on paper first. You can tighten it up a little bit, but I actually try and step away for a day or two because the process of it's kind of similar to journaling for me. When I put my thoughts down on paper, I get clarity, right? And I can't remember whose quote it was. There's a very famous author that I'm very sorry I can't give them credit for, but they said, I write to get clarity. And that was just such an aha for me. You start putting things on paper and you get more ideas. And so I say, draft it, dump it, even if it's crappy. Okay. And then walk away because your brain will be thinking about that without you even realizing. And sometimes you just have an aha And when you go back to that draft in a day or two, you have new realizations that you can put in there and you can clean it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, that's key. But I think the other thing that entrepreneurs and businesses really struggle with is trying to either do it all at once, like a big project and just knock it out, or not pay attention to what's really working, right? So let's say we're trying to be perfect and we're trying to write an email sequence or something, and we're just going to knock it out. That feels like a big project, first of all. And then we're just going to, set it to go and then just run with it. But the thing is, you might notice that some of the emails are getting opened more than others.
Sure.
Maybe that means that your subject lines need to be tweaked, right? Because we can't expect it to perform perfectly from the get-go. Or maybe people they're opening the emails, but they aren't clicking on the thing because we're not doing a good job of convincing them to take the action. So there's always things that we can go back and make better. And if we just realize that from the beginning, it takes a lot of the pressure off to make it perfect from the get-go.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's great thoughts, great tips. Do you have any sort of like recommended resources if someone's just getting started with, if they're selling products or building websites, that kind of thing for copywriting? Any recommended things that you would point them towards?
Yeah, one of my favorite books is about getting started with copywriting is, I think it's called Words That Sell by Ray Edwards.
Yeah. I think I got that one actually the other day. Yeah. Yeah, Ray. Is it Ray Edwards? Yeah, I bought a few recently and I haven't started them yet, so I think I've got it. Yeah, that sounds good.
Ray Edwards, and he teaches everything from like what should be in a headline, and he says, write 50 headlines because for every 50 headlines, you might have one good one, right? And that's like on your sales page or your email subject line or your Facebook ad headline. Like headlines are everywhere. So he's got some really great practical things in there. This one's not about copywriting, but it's about kind of the idea of generating a story, and that's Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Yeah.
I like
really
that. I love the examples from movies that he uses, and that can kind of inspire. And then I think Sally Hogshead, her book, How the World Sees You, is powerful. So you take a quiz and it tells you your strengths and how basically your customers view you as a business and a brand. And then it'll also tell you how your employees or your team view you, right?
Yeah.
And then it tells you the most powerful words that you should always include in your copywriting to reinforce that message and stand out, the things that make you unique. And it's been powerful.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Great recommendations. Yeah, I'll be picking that one up for sure. And then, I recommend to everyone listening to do the same as well. Because, definitely the first two you mentioned, I'm fully on board with. So I'm sure the third one will be just as powerful. So that's great recommendations. Thank you. And listen, look, we really appreciate all of the wisdom you've been bringing to the show today. If people want to sort of reach out more and find out more about what you do, the agency or anything other than that, where's the best place for them to reach out?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. You can find me on my website, jackie-ellis.com, or I'm on Instagram at I am Jackie Ellis.
Awesome. So good. Well, I encourage everyone listening to definitely do that. Take Jackie up on that. Find out some more, learn some more. I know this has been super helpful for me. Copywriting is a needle mover in business, right? Especially the online business world. It's a game changer. So listen, Jackie, we really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you so much. I was so happy to be here.
That's awesome. All right, we'll see you soon. Hey, well, thanks so much for being with us on the Impact Unlimited podcast today. If the content has helped you in any way, please reach out. We would love to hear from you. Tag us on the socials if anything has inspired you from this episode. And listen, if you've got 2 minutes to spare, we'd love it if you'd leave us a review on your chosen podcast platform. Honestly, we'd be forever grateful. And to show that, when you do, be sure to enter our monthly appreciation prize draw where we give away Amazon vouchers to our podcast community. Simply head to impactunlimited.com/podcast. That's impactunlimited.com/podcast in order to find out all the information as well as explore more free training content. Listen, it's been a pleasure. And remember, don't just make an income, make an impact. All right, we'll see you next week.